Hey, good morning. Early on a Sunday. Early on a Sunday. What's up? Happy Sunday. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 722. I already sucked down a cup of coffee. I'm just about to start number two. Coffee count. Coffee count. Little early. So I didn't lie yesterday morning. I said tomorrow morning I'll go live between 8 and 9 o'clock. If it weren't for daylight savings ended, we would be at 8:28 right now. So right smack dab in between the hours that I said. I forgot early. Well, I think when I said that, I completely forgot about, or I didn't forget. We talked about it yesterday, but I didn't take that into consideration. Not that I forgot. It's that I didn't take into consideration the hour change. So I was up early today, up early this morning. So here we are at 7:30 a.m. on a Sunday, which is early for a Sunday. Usually, I've got my wrestling hoodie on this morning. I can't remember where I saw this on. I saw this artwork on Twitter or Facebook. I think it was a Facebook ad, and I think it was like stolen. The image was stolen from the artist. So I went. I felt bad for tweeting the thief. So I bought the hoodie from the actual artist. It's got the Bushwhackers, Ultimate Warrior, Beefcake, Rick Rude, The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, The Hulkster, Bad News Brown. Who else? We got the Hot Rod, Roddy Piper, Earthquake, Akeem, Big Boss Man, Honky Tonk Man, the $1 Million Man, and Virgil. It's hard for me to look at this from upside down. So, and I think is it the Brooklyn? I think the Brooklyn Brawler made this shirt. I can't remember. Red Light 34, what's up? Johnny Boy Cards, Herman. Good morning, y'all. So yesterday was Saturday, and I was pretty productive. Didn't do much listing though. I wanted to get caught up on some shipping and then do some listing, but I ended up just shipping, and then I ran some errands. I came home, and my wife says, I went downstairs and nearly had a heart attack. And I said, I told you not to go downstairs. I told you. It's like, I needed toilet paper. I'm like, you should have waited for me. I knew it was going to give you freaking anxiety. And she's like, well, it wasn't your rec room. I expected that. It was the unfinished area because we organized. It was nice and organized and good. And I've completely blown it out of the water with all of this bulk that I've consumed the last few weeks. I'm like, I'm getting rid of it. I've got some buyers on the hook. So I'm meeting up with a guy this afternoon for the bulk commons that I had listed on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. So hopefully we get a deal made this afternoon. Then I've got another guy. I've got like 10 boxes, monster boxes of football and basketball that another guy's interested in. So hopefully here today I'll get a big bulk of that out, and then hopefully the next week the football and basketball follows, and then I can put together another truckload of cards to bulk out. We've got Abraham. Good morning to you. Zach and Porter in the house. Good morning. My first mug of coffee is always a cold cup from yesterday's pot. Ooh. Drink it faster in the AM during my morning routine. That is the controversial sweatshirt. It is the controversial sweatshirt. So we speaking of coffee from yesterday, I'll share a story from the company I worked for, and one of my former coworkers, and he left under he did some bad things. Both personally and professionally, actually. We won't get into those stories. But when he was employed with us, he tended to, and there was a reason he played some of these practical jokes, which is part of the reason he's was no longer employed. But he would play some of these practical jokes. Now, the big thing, and I think this is probably across all offices throughout the country, food and coffee. Like, I think every office, there's like the great coffee debate. And so in our office, the great coffee debate was, it's always like, who makes the coffee in the morning? And then whoever makes the coffee makes it not up to standards, because and it go like, I like my coffee a little lighter. Like, I don't like the I don't like pouring freaking whole container of coffee in, and it's mud. I don't like mud coffee. Some people like mud coffee. Some people in my office liked mud coffee. I didn't. So the people that liked mud thought my coffee, that when I made it in the morning, it was too light. But when they made the coffee, I thought it was mud and it sucked. And like half the office liked mud and half the office liked it like I made it. And I think I saved some of the emails. And I want to share in who would have thought we would talk about office coffee shenanigans. Let's see. I wonder if I can find my email, because this is a funny office email. I won't name names. If I can find it. Oh, what's this? Interesting. So, by the way, and I've shared this before, I'm not very, if you've sent me an email, I get so many emails, I don't see a lot of them. So, especially like through the 1 million Cubs email address. As I'm looking up this email from my office, there, I found it. But anyway, I just stumbled on an email that I did not see from July 30th of this year. I'm going to click on it. This morning, I broke out an old box of stuff that my parents had kept for me when I was a kid. I was feeling nostalgic as I went through my old card collections. By the way, I have not read this, so I'm reading this. So if I pause, it's because I probably am reading something I shouldn't. But based on the title, I think I'm safe. I was feeling nostalgic as I went through my old card collections, and then pulled out a baseball signed by a bunch of minor league Cubs players and maybe some Brewers too. I was probably 9 years old when I got this ball signed. I don't know if it was spring training or a farm league team or whatever, but there was a ton of players there. This is around Mesa, Arizona. I remember specifically hoping to get Jerome Walton's signature because he was supposed to be a big deal at the time, but I didn't see him. Anyways, I got a bunch of signatures, and the most prominent signature was Earl Cunningham. After looking through my old memorabilia, I did a Google search for autographed Earl Cunningham baseball, which led me to your site. I'm curious to know if you have any interest in this baseball. It has basically sat in a box for the past 35 years or so. Let me know what you think. Oh, this is very cool. The power of the internet. I love it. So he shows a picture of the baseball, and Earl Cunningham's like the most prominent, like it's like, it's on a side panel, and it takes up like half the side panel. And then I can't even really tell. One looks like a Joe somebody. The others I can't tell. This one, Mark, I can't remember. But that was from July 30th. I've never seen that email. The only reason was because I was searching I typed in something in my search bar in my email, and that came up. Awesome. So here's the coffee email. We're talking about coffee. So my office, this was like an ongoing like debate, coffee. It was like the most controversial topic in my office. So this is an email that we received. And okay, I was working for the company. Some of the emails that I saved were forwarded to me from before I worked there. So here's the email. I don't want to be, and to this day, I don't know if this was a serious email or if it was sent tongue in cheek. Now, I know the person who sent this, and I know their personality. You don't, unless you were one of the 20 people that worked in the office at the time, which I doubt anybody is watching that worked in the office, especially at the time this was sent. And only those people that read this email would know who it was from. But knowing that person that wrote this email, I would say it's serious. I would say this was actually a serious email, and not tongue in cheek for humor. Uh, so here's the email. The title is Coffee. And this is a legit office email. I don't want to be critical of anyone who makes coffee, as I'm sure we have some who drink it but rarely make it. This email does not apply to you if you don't actually brew coffee. So that's like, ooh, this is interesting. On to my point. Without polling the whole office, the sales department has concluded that the best, most flavorful coffee is the result of using 1 3/4 scoops. Full disclosure, I was part of that sales department that decided 1 3/4 scoops was the most flavorful and best coffee. We were a small sales. We were like, I think there was 3 of us at this time. So I was 1/3. Let's see. Well, 1/4, including the person who authored this email. The full scoop should not be a level scoop, if you will. Any more than 1 3/4 scoops tends to make it bitter. And then name redacted, and I complain, and name redacted seeks Starbucks grade. We don't worry about name redacted, as he is constantly fueling with his high octane sodas and other drinks that tend to enhance his game. So I think that was actually said humorously. So going forward, please only use 1 3/4 scoops, and thank you when you make coffee. So I do think the last couple lines were said tongue in cheek to be humorous. But overall, the tone and I believe the subject matter was he was pissed off and didn't like the bitter coffee because he didn't like the mud. The sales department liked the light coffee, the 1 3/4 scoops. That was a big deal. That was a big deal. I should read another email. Same office. Also has now this email actually was sent prior to my employment, but it made the rounds and was forwarded several times. Let's see if I'm trying to think of what I can search my email because I don't know where shoot, that's not gonna work. I guess I'm gonna have to type in the name. Because if I type in the name, this is a different author, by the way, name redacted, that sent many off the wall, like, can you would actually send an office email with this subject topic? Okay, it's searching. So let's go to the chat. We're enjoying some of my old office emails. Getting to the point, getting back to the point where Zach and Porter talks about from yesterday's pot. So there's not an email. Oh, here it is. So there's not an email for this particular topic, but what drew me to this subject of my wacky old office. I mean, the office I worked for legit would have put the Office TV show to shame with the characters and the storylines that we had in our office. It was quite humorous, as some of the emails, and I have a bunch of emails that I can share with you. There's like, what the hell? And most of these came from management, by the way. So the reason the employee that got into some trouble, but beforehand, he was playing some practical jokes. Now like coffee was continued in the office, was continued like, oh, so and so makes shitty coffee. We hate his coffee. Or the biggest faux pas was if you drink the coffee and you don't make the coffee. So that was like the biggest. So by this point, that's where I'm going with the story. So, person X who got in trouble and lost his job, he's the one who played the practical joke. Now he came in at like say 7 a.m. Person Y, who drank a lot of the coffee and would often, and he was kind of a disliked employee in the office, and he would come in at 6:30. He would drink a pot of coffee, but he would not make that first pot, and he would always make excuses why he didn't make it. So person X, who played the practical joke, got sick of it. He was coming in at 7 a.m. Person Y had been there for 30 minutes, drinks all the coffee, but never makes it. And so person X was getting sick and tired of making the coffee every morning. So he would leave yesterday's coffee and turn the coffee pot on. And so when it dinged, and so here's the thing, person Y was in the other room. And so he would hear it ding. So he's like, he was a little weasel. I'm going to wait a half an hour because person X is going to come in and he's going to make the coffee, and 10 minutes later, I'm going to hear that ding and I'm going to go take coffee. And it was just convenient every day. That's what he did. Person X got sick and tired of this charade. So he went in and just turned the coffee pot on, and it's yesterday's coffee. And so obviously it's cold and yesterday's coffee. And that went back and forth a few times. And finally it's like, okay, we're all grown-ups. We shouldn't be playing these reindeer games. So here's an office email. Again, this came from management, and this was before I was in the office. Now, this was not sent tongue-in-cheek. This is an actual serious email from a manager. And I know this because this person didn't have a sense of humor. So he writes, while the coffee is on the house, we all have to pay for our own creamer. That was a thing. Like, eventually that changed, but in the office, like the company paid for the coffee, but did not pay for the cream, which is like, what kind of backwards company is this? Office is this? While the coffee is on the house, we all have to pay for our own creamer. Ben, name redacted, and I have noticed that our creamer supply has depleted much sooner than it should. And then this is in parentheses. I brought a new one in on Monday, and it's almost gone. While I use a lot, I never run out in 2 days. End parentheses. Neither name redacted or I mind sharing once in a while. Another parentheses, not daily. But we would like to be asked first. Again, more parentheses, common courtesy. While it doesn't seem like a big deal, it does cost approximately $4 a bottle. And both name redacted and I have kids to feed. Okay, Latrell Sprewell, thank you for your cooperation. So this was sent by a manager regarding coffee creamer in our office. Coffee was a big deal. Coffee's a big deal. And some of those emails is why I wanted to get the hell out of there and work for myself and sell baseball cards. And so concludes Coffee Talk for today. Herman says, do you ever get completely caught up on shipping? The answer is no. So when I say I want to catch up on shipping, it's basically I want to get to like 10 or 20 or 30 packages to ship. Because I could go through and completely get caught up shipping, but an hour later, I'm going to have 6 more items to ship. So that's just, so no, I'm never completely caught up. I mean, I can be completely caught up, but it will end in like 15 minutes. I'll have another package to ship. Let's see. Andrew's with us, Paige and Deanie Bean. What's up? Hey, yo to you. Happy Sunday. By the way, it is, daylight savings did end last night. So, watch those clocks. For some reason, this computer, which you shouldn't be surprised because this computer kind of sucks, and it's new. This is like 7 years newer than my upstairs computer. My upstairs computer updates with daylight savings. This one does not. It says, oh, wait, no, it is 7:47. Never mind. This computer is up to date. Maybe it's my upstairs computer that didn't update. The oven and the microwave, I have to manually do that. The power went out 2 days ago, and now I have to set the clocks again. Zach and Porter says, good morning to Sal Dougie. Thought of you. I have a 800-row box of Packers, Brewers, and Bucks to my nephew the other day. Those teams are your jam. Well, most of them. Let's see. Herman says he still needs to watch Andrew's video. By the way, Andrew, if you're unfamiliar, is Paige and Deanie Bean in the chat. Abraham says, good morning to Zach. Got my unique Brewers up to almost 3,200. Very cool. By the way, I'm going to show off. Today. I'm going to show off, and I think Andrew suggested this yesterday. I'm going to show off some of my vintage and pre-war Cubs. So I've got my big box. It's not all of them, but it's It's like the only box that has a majority of that collection. So I'll show those off a little bit later this morning. We'll also talk about why I did not watch the World Series, and there's only one thing that would have changed that fact. Only one thing could have had me watch the World Series. Brian's with us. The owner of our company makes the coffee and teaches everyone his method in case they want to make it. Okay, so it's not an isolated office thing. It's everywhere. People are just get a Keurig. If you're that, like I am not, the only thing I don't like about coffee is don't make it like mud. Like make it 1 3/4 scoops. But it's like, if you're that damn, like if I were going to send an office email out about how to make coffee or train employees how to make coffee, I would just bring in a flippin' Keurig. Okay. If you're that damn anal about coffee, make it yourself with your own little coffee. Bring in a miniature coffee pot. Instead, you have to have the entire office bend to your wishes on how to make flippin' coffee. And it tastes the same. If it's mud, just put more creamer in it. Even though I don't like that. But hey, like I prefer creamer in my coffee. I don't have kids to feed, so I can afford $4 a bottle creamer, unlike Mr. Manager has kids to feed. $4 a bottle adds up, right? So I like all the stresses of that office life are starting to surface. Reading those emails, bringing back, I'm going to have a nightmare tonight that I went back to work in that office. Herman says, that's why I like that red goat. I can get a 20-ounce cup out of a K-cup. Zach says, the amount of tweets on the internet equals Bo's unread email messages. My current unread email messages is at 146,235 unread emails. So if I have not responded to one of your emails, please do not take offense. I likely did not read it or even see it. So that's why. Mark, what's up? Mark Marinello. Easy solution. I bought a Keurig. There you go. Buy a Keurig. It ends those problems of other people's crappy coffee making skills. Zach says, question 1. How did LRS get your email and that ball? You accept that ball, it will show up with hockey cards to sell. Zach tweets out has a link to a tweet. Dude predicted the last 3 World Series winners correctly. White Sox in 2025. Book it. That's interesting. I think I did see that tweet making the rounds last week. Zach says, I should note I put coffee in the fridge for tomorrow's cup. It isn't just sitting out. Aha. There you go. Royals 417. Matt in the house. What's happening? Henry says, so who's all looking for kabooms now? So I did read a little bit more, and I saw somebody tweet, man, who was the breaker? If I can find this. So somebody brought this up in yesterday's chat, and I don't know. Let's see. Somebody just Meta Collecta on Twitter just responded to my Hobby Evolution tweet that said, I like my coffee lighter. I'm out. I'm sorry I offended you. So there was somebody on Twitter, Firebreaks. Was it Firebreaks? Now that I want to find it, I'm not going to find it. There's so many breakers out there. Son of a bee. I thought it was like maybe it was Firebox. Maybe it was Firehand. Was it Firehand? I thought it was Fire something. Okay, so yes. So basically, boxes with like kabooms from Panini have like this code. Here's the tweet. So Firehand Sports Cards on Twitter tweeted this out. We have opened over 40 boxes, which is 4 cases of Panini 1-in-1 basketball so far. Only 3 boxes, 3 of 40, had numbers on the hologram that started with NC1. Again, this is Panini 1-in-1 basketball. So 3 out of the 40 boxes Only 3 had the numbers or the alphanumeric code NC1. The contents of the 3 boxes with the alphanumeric code NC1 included a Cade Cunningham RPA, a Donovan Mitchell Noir sneaker, and a Luka downtown. How interesting is that? So is Panini showing their hand with these codes on the boxes? So Sports Card Radio, check out their YouTube channel. They've gone a little more in depth than what I can. I'm not really following it. I don't buy new product. I don't buy Panini. And I'm not into the basketball market outside of whatever bulk I buy. So I've not been following the story closely. There's many people that have. Sports Card Radio has a couple video, at least one video, maybe 2 or more on this particular topic, and it's been making its way around Twitter as well. So that's kind of in a nutshell. There's codes that kind of show the hand of what's inside. Let's see. Matt says, almost caught up in cataloging my unique George Brett cards after 20 years. Probably restarted the process 5 times. Yeah. So trading card database, I completely wiped out my collection on TCDB a couple weeks ago because I wanted to start from scratch. Basically, and the reason why, it's like, and I only had a couple thousand, but still it takes time to catalog that stuff. But I don't know. I don't know if they're in, I don't know where those boxes are. So I'm just going to start from scratch. That way I can accurately catalog it and have it cataloged within my own system here in the card room. So I have not started the second process. I think I'm going to begin though. And I said I was going to start, like, I'm going to block off from 4 to 5 p.m. I'm going to block off an hour of time to play with my Cubs cards. I've not done that. It's just not, it's not of importance at this point. Like, I just want to do other things. But now that I'm trying to super collect Ethan Roberts, who has a rookie and tops update. I think I'll start there with the Ethan Roberts collection, which I've bought into, I think 38 cases plus like 3 boxes that were part of a 2-caser. So 38 plus cases of Ethan Roberts player breaks. And I've only watched maybe 10 out of those 38 cases. So it's just going to be a surprise mail days. My first mail day from one of the breaks, which I think I did watch, it was a 2-caser. It was just all base. But so I think it was 16 cards. I opened 3 blasters and got 2 base cards, Ethan Roberts. So my base rookie collection of Ethan Roberts numbers 18. With 36 more cases of player breaks cards coming. Let's see. Jacqueline in the house. What's up? I just got a Fujitsu 8170. I added the margin, but how do I change it? Right now it's white and blends in white paper cards. Okay, so I'm downstairs. Oh man, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I think it's within the same window as changing the margin. I think you can change the background color. So mine's black, and I don't recall how to change the color, but I think it's within those same settings. I think it's within that same setting window as the margin, where you can change the background color. But I think it's only black or white. Like, I think those are the only 2 color options that you have. Matt Weinman in the house. Good morning. Let's see. Question for the masses. I have over 500 Ichiro cards, and I'm looking to sell. I don't want to list each because I would like to move them somewhat quickly. I am attempting 9 card lots at auction for $295 starting. Thoughts? I'll have around 50 lots listed. I'm going to tell you, I hate auctions, and I think that's a bad move. That's my own personal preference, especially now in the off season. And for a retired player, auctions are not good for retired players. And that's a double whammy when it comes to the off season, because baseball is not top of mind, and even less top of mind is retired players. So I would advise against doing that. Lots are also tough. And I know you don't want to list 500 on their own, but you're going to have, if you're If you're looking just to liquidate and don't care, sure, do it. But if you're looking to somewhat maximize your return, you're just going to have to take the time to list singles. Otherwise, if you so choose to do the auctions and do 9-card lots, make sure they're like cards. So maybe a base run of 2002 tops to 2010 tops or whatever. The same product or similar. So, but I would advise against auctions, lots, and especially in the off season. So, that's my thought process. That's my opinion. Royals 417 says, "Are you going to catalog your Cubs cards?" Yes. I'm going to try. It all comes down to, I'm closing in on 850,000 Cubs cards. They're all a mess. So it's gonna, it takes so. I mean, we all know how long it takes to sort cards. So it's just gonna be whenever I get to it, and I don't know if I'll ever get to it. We'll see. But I would love. I mean, ideally, I would love to have my entire Cubs collection cataloged. So somebody can say, like, I think Brian the other day asked, do you have the 88 Donruss rated rookie? And I can go to Trading Card Data. Yeah, I have 743 of them. I would love to do that, but the time it takes, I just don't know if there's time to do all that. So ideally, I would like to do that. Let's see. Zach and Porter says, Panini pulling a Michael Scott contest. Matt says, it is my forget about work time. There you go. And that's what I would like to block off an hour of just, okay, I'm going to sort Cubs. I'm going to, whether it's sorting or listing on Trading Card Database, I need to make the time. I have the time. Like I can, instead of just taking a break altogether and reading a book or a magazine or just hanging out with the dog or the wife, I could do that. But I haven't made the time for it. Zach says added 28 unique Franks from Oak Creek. And that's another thing I'm so envious of Zach's process and Zach and Porter's process of going to a card show, coming home and logging the cards. Like, because I don't like when I go to a card show, and usually when I go to a card show, I'm either set up or if it's the Madison show, I'm promoting it. So when I come home, like it's been a long day. And it's like, I've been around cards all day. Like, I mean, which is no different than any other day, but it's like, I kind of want a break. Although I don't take a complete break, I come home and it's like, I enjoy bringing home, especially if I dig through a dollar box and going through and, either showing off like, ooh, look, I got this card for $1, or I added this Cubs card that I never thought I would find in a quarter box or whatever. And it's like, it would be fun for me to come home from a card show and log my Cubs cards into Trading Card Database. And when you do it 25, 30, 50 at a time, it doesn't take that much time. But then when you let it add up to 850,000, it's like, it's just daunting. And I just kind of lack the interest to get started. So Zach says he added 28 unique Franks from Oak Creek, moves up to number 15 on TCDB. Only pulled a couple doubles. Not bad for my old man memory. Porter wasn't there and he remembers his birth. Zach says 791 unique Frank Thomas cards. Let's see. Red Light 34. Good morning to you. Nukes cards in the house. We've got the sex bots here. Matt says that is my problem when I go to shows. I always come back with doubles. That's why I need an updated catalog. I used to know exactly what I had. That's a problem I run into when it comes to like my tobacco cards. And I really need to get at least my tobacco cards because I don't want to buy a $50, $80, $100 T206 that I already have. Yes, I could sell it, but I'd rather not. I'd rather just not spend that money. So that's something that I do. In the T2, there's so many like, okay, I know I have a Three Fingers Brown T206, but which version is it? Is it him throwing or is it just the portrait? So that is something that I more so than anything need to get my tobacco stuff cataloged to where I know, okay, I can spend $40, $60, $80 on this card because I know I don't have it. So I probably have passed up. And with that said, I've probably passed up some really good deals because I just didn't know if I had the card or not. Royals 417 says Brett probably has 50 times more cards after his retirement. I think that's like with a lot of guys like George Brett, Ricky Henderson, Jose Canseco, Mark McGwire. Like these guys have so many post-retirement cards. Let's see. Zach says, no doubt we focus mostly on base or low dollar inserts so it can be hard to track. I hadn't batted that well in a while or found that many in a bargain box. Zach says, a guy had his dime box card sorted by players for baseball. It was a great stop. That's awesome if you're a player collector or even a team collector to find those. And if you're only searching for those, like I don't like those because I like the thrill of the hunt. And I'm not just buying Cubs cards or a player. Like I'm looking for like all of the above. I'm looking for a great deal that I can put in my eBay store. And then I'm also looking for Cubs that I don't have. So kind of all of the above. Zach says cataloging the cards and that feeling when you didn't have it is euphoric. Red Light says, do you use a program to list all your cards on eBay? If so, what is it called? I sure do. I use Card Dealer Pro. There's that does have a subscription to it. You can use a program if you have Excel, a spreadsheet, or even like Google Sheets. You can use. You can just upload if you have a template. Just find a template and type it all into a spreadsheet. You do need to have an image host. Image Shack is a great image host, and it's cheap. It's like $15 a year. And so you can do that. And that's File Exchange is free, just using Excel and uploading to eBay. There are some quirks, take some getting used to, but once you nail down your process, it's super easy. The reason I use, and you're like, well, why do you pay for Card Dealer Pro if File Exchange is free? Because Card Dealer Pro is AI. So I'm basically just paying for the AI, and it's less work. So I can basically do 4 times the amount of listings that I can with File Exchange. In File Exchange, I can do 4 times the amount of listings that I can just listing from my phone app. So that's why I use those. I finally got my first 2 cards bought from you. Not sure if you have sent them yet. Let's see. Awesome. I'm not sure what cards those were. Let's see. If you can let me know which cards those were or when you bought them. I usually run a couple days behind on shipments. And like from not behind on like the timeline to send, but from the time of purchase. Zach says, I normally like by sport, but when I saw his box, I'm like, score. Herman says, to be honest, I haven't touched my cards in 2 weeks outside of what a few that have sold on eBay. Need a kick in the pants to get back to it. Sometimes you need a break. Sometimes it just takes a little time away to realize what's the song? Dwayne Allen football and a Max Ferguson baseball. Okay, the Max Ferguson, I think, was that just purchased yesterday? And I do remember the Dwayne Allen. I don't think those 2 have shipped yet. Let's see. So yeah, those will go out Monday. And they'll probably be technically they'll probably show shipped today, but obviously there's no mail on Sunday, so they'll go out in Monday's mail. And thank you. Nuke's card says, what do most of you use to catalog your collections? I can't speak to everybody else, but when I do catalog, I will use Trading Card Database, tcdb.com, and I think a lot of people in here use TCDB, Trading Card Database. I didn't watch the World Series. I think I watched one game. I think I watched game 1, and that was it. And it was just kind of background fodder. In fact, last night, this is kind of, as a baseball fan, this sounds almost like sacrilegious. Last night, game 6, clinching game of the World Series. I did not watch it. I watched The Good Nurse on Netflix. It was an okay movie, but I didn't watch I had no interest in. Somebody asked, I think it might have been John, that 70s show, that 70s card show. Do non like Phillies Astros fans have any interest in the World Series. And for me, I don't. And typically I don't. I am a baseball fan, but like I mentioned yesterday or the other day when I answered that question initially, it's just by this time, by October and especially November, we're a week into November, I'm kind of baseballed out. Even though I love baseball, it's a grind, and there's only one thing, and it's not. Don't change base. Stop changing baseball. Now there are some changes to the game of baseball that I like, but for the most part, it doesn't need change. I do like the pitch clock, by the way. That's always been one of my pet peeves with baseball is slow working pitchers. Like, I'm an impatient person. So that's one of my biggest pet peeves. That's why when I was working in broadcasting, when I would broadcast high school sports, I would always gravitate toward broadcasting softball as opposed to baseball. There's nothing worse when it comes to sports than a couple of bad high school baseball teams playing a 3-hour game, combining for 12 errors and just terrible baseball. And it's kind of like on the opposite end of the spectrum, people were upset with how many strikeouts there were in the World Series. And that in softball, like fast pitch softball, like that's an awesome game. Like it's completely opposite. Like my favorite games to broadcast, and I broadcasted the Illinois high school state championships in softball for about 12 years. And my favorite games, and there were a couple like just hitters duels, like 12-11, 18-12, like some like lots of hits. And those games sucked. The best games in fast pitch softball are 1-0, 20 strikeouts per game. That's what I enjoyed. Those 11-10 baseball games suck in my opinion. I like those pitchers duels. So I lost my train of thought. So I've always gravitated toward softball's a much faster game and all that. So that's the one rule that the one change that I like is the pitch clock. So stop changing baseball unless it's like pitch clock. That I think that was a good move. But the only thing that could have been done differently that would have had my attention and I would have watched the World Series was not a rule change. If the Cubs were in the World Series, I would have watched it. That's the only thing. Maybe the White Sox. I would have watched the White Sox in the World Series. But if the Brewers or Cardinals or Yankees or Braves or Orioles or Blue Jays or Rays or Rangers or Astros were in it. If any of those other teams, couldn't care less. Would not have watched the World Series. Didn't matter which teams were in it unless it was a team out of Chicago. Any other team I wouldn't have watched. So that's why I did not watch the World Series. Let's see. Thank you, Red Light 34. Going to be buying some more. By the way, if you do want to shop my eBay store, the link to my eBay store is in the description to this video. Added some more cards last night. Didn't do a bulk upload, but I added some like football, basketball, I think even some baseball, autos, relics, and some other stuff. So check out the link to my eBay store. If you buy 7 or more at regular price, you'll get an automatic 25%. Link is in the description. Zach says, stepping away for breakfast. Have a great day. Go Arlington Heights Bears. Bo, I bought that Abbott for Porter. Oh, very nice. Don't ship the Frank Pan Am separate if you save the money. Saying this to remind. Thank you. Thank you very much. Red Light 34 says, which model scanner do you have to scan your cards? I now have the Fujitsu 8170. I love it. I previously had the 7030 and I used that for about a year. I would recommend that too. I think the 8170 is quite a bit more money than the 7030, but both are great. 8170 is a little faster. I will say the two things that I like the most about the 8170 isn't the speed is definitely on the list of things I like about the 8170, but the two things I like the most about the 8170 is you can adjust your margins. So the 7030 has a really tight image on your card. And so sometimes it really cuts off like a corner or an edge. So I didn't like that about the 7030. Also, the 70-30, you could not change the background. It was white. And like Jacqueline earlier in the chat said, white on white, it's hard to tell. And I was getting a lot of messages from people like, hey, can you send a different image because that white on white with a white border? So those are the two most important things I like about the 8170 is you can change that background color to black, which really makes those white border cards pop. And you can set the margin. So I sent it to like 2-inch millimeter, which sets a nice, it's tight, but it's shows the entire card. So it shows those edges, shows those corners, and it's a tight image. And of course, the speed helps. It's more than twice as fast as the 70-30, as we learned from Don from Fujitsu. The 70 stands for scans per minute. I always get that wrong. Right. So the 70-30 scans 30 images per, I think it's per minute, 30 per minute. This 8170 is 70 per minute. So I use the Fujitsu 8170, but I will say the 70-30 is a great option if you're looking to save a few bucks. But the 8170 does have its advantages over the 70-30. And there's also a 7160, which is probably, it's the 8170 is the newest model, so it's going to be more expensive. There's also a 7160, which is 60 per minute, so it's twice the speed as the 70-30. And I believe the 7160 also has the ability to change the color and set the margins. So that would also be a good, since it's the last generation, it's going to be cheaper. And you also have the ability to set the margins and change the color in the background, I believe. Might have to look into that further. Matt says, I use a Google spreadsheet, so I'll be able to pull it up on my phone at a show in an easy-to-read format. I'm going to eventually put them in TCDB so I can start doing some trades. Very nice. Abraham says, I watched parts of all 6 World Series games, stayed up for the end of last night's game. Very cool. I don't think I watched any of game. I think game 1 was the only one I had any of it on. And I watched, a majority in the background for game 1. So let's do some show and tell. So thanks to I think Andrew suggested showing off some old stuff. So I'm going to share some of my Cubs collection. This is going to be all vintage, and most of it's going to be pre-war. So this first slab is from 1912. This is one of my favorite sets of all time. It's the T202, the trifolds. I've got about 5 of these, I think. So this is a trifold with Frank Chance and Johnny Evers, and it's Evers in the middle making a slide. That's a SGC 1.5. So love these cards. Love those trifolds. This I should send in to SGC. This is Joe Tinker with Frank Chance. It's in a gigantic. I am concerned. It's in this gigantic screw down. My concern is it's ruined from the screw down, and so I'm a little hesitant to break this from its cage and submit to SGC. But this is I think this is a T209. I can't remember. So there's Frank Chance at the bottom. I bought this at the National in 2021, I think, at the Chicago National 2021. I bought that on Sunday, so I got a nice little deal. This is just a recent pickup. I paid like $8 or $10 for this. A 1941 double play from Gowdy. I think this is going to be part of my next submission to 5-star cards. Let's see. This is my most recent pre-war acquisition. Look at this behemoth. This is my very first Turkey Red, original Turkey Red. And that is Frank Chance. My concern, I'd love to get this slab, and SGC does slab these. My concern is that there's too much paper loss, and they may consider it. I haven't even checked to see. Yeah, they may consider this too brittle just because there's so much loss. These are nice and thick paper, so I don't think it's too brittle. But especially down here with all that paper loss, this corner here. Here's the back. You already saw the back, but I may SGC you send in, and if they won't slab it because it's too brittle or too much paper loss, they don't charge. So I'll probably just take a flyer on it just in case. Worst case scenario, they don't slab it, and it's not in my possession for a month. This is from, I think, the 30s. Phil Cavaretta, Billy Herman, Billy Georgis, and Stan Hack. I think this is from 1933. I can't remember the exact what this is called, but it's basically postcard size. It is blank on the back. Picked that up on eBay a couple years ago. Here's another T202 trifold. This is Ed Rulbach and Jimmy Archer. This one I was really happy with. If you saw my SGC submission video, I bought this raw on eBay and submitted through 5-Star Cards, and it came back a 3. I was elated with a 3 on this. I was just expecting a authentic grade or a 1, but came back a 3. So I was really happy with that. What else do we have in here? We've got a polar bear. This was also part of that 5-star submission through SGC. Came back a 1, which is what I was expecting. T205 polar bear. Ed Rulbach. You know what? I've got some graded sleeves. I need to put these in sleeves. Here's another polar bear. I bought this one raw at the National, I think also in 2021. Joe Tinker. This came back a 1 as I expected. I thought it would either come back an authentic, an A, or a 1. Here's some raw stuff. So some of these are going into my next submission to SGC. This is a Jimmy Fox, who played, as we mentioned in that Hall of Fame talk the other day. This is, I think, is his only Cubs card, Jimmy Fox. So I picked that, a good deal from a dealer named Tim that sets up at the Madison Card Show. Here's I think this is a play ball, Lon Warnicki. Bought this from Tim, same deal with that Jimmy Fox. So I'll send that in for my next submission. This is a T207 Joe Tinker. So that goes into a little side PC of Joe Tinker. This is a T207. This will most definitely go into my next submission to SGC. And I think I bought this. Maybe I had two separate. This is a E121 Bill Killefer. I think this is from the 1930s. I can't remember. I like the back. This is a cool back, old school. American Caramel Company. Another this is the coupon. This will also go into, it looks like a T206, but it's one of the coupons. Frank Schulte got a good deal on this. And you can tell what series it is based on the price of the cigarettes. So this will also go in my next SGC submission. Here's another T207. This is Edgar Lennox. So this will go in probably into my next SGC submission. I'll probably do 10. My first one was 5 just to get my feet wet. And I did 11 last month. I'll probably do another 10. This was, I was uncomfortable. I was disappointed. I bought this on eBay. It is authentic, but it's very brittle. It's very fragile. So SGC would not slab it for those reasons. Beautiful card. Technically not a Cubs card. This is a Federal League card. So this was after Joe Tinker's time with the Cubs, and he was a member of the Federal League team that opened Wrigley Field, and that's from 1915. This is Joe Tinker, the SGC. I submitted this one as well. They would not slab this. It's basically the entire back is ripped off. This came in a trade several years ago. They didn't say it was not authentic. It was just there's so much paper lot, like just barely a little bit there at the bottom. So SGC would not slab that. I may take on both that Tinker Crackerjack and this Tinker T206. I may take a flyer, wait a few months, a year, and sub them again just to see if anything changes, if they'll sub or if they'll slab it. I mean, I just want them in a slab, authenticated. What's up, Ken? Just showing off some tobacco cards. So this will also go into my next submission. And you're like, why? It's in a slab. Well, it's in S. Look at how shoddy this looks. It's like floating. I hate clear slabs on vintage. SGC all the way, those tuxedos. This is a Frank Chance. I also bought this from Tim. It's graded authentic from CSG. The Frank Chance blue background. This will be going. I'm not going to crack it myself because I'm not good with tools. So I'm going to have Matt from 5-Star crack this puppy and send this to SGC. Sporting Life M116 Frank Chance. So that'll be part of my next submission as well. We've got Red Light 34 says, is it better to buy old cards like that at shows or eBay? It's tough. So, and I did tweet this out yesterday. Like, I have no issues buying raw tobacco cards. There's two issues I run into if I don't know the seller, and B, because I had two of the first 5 submissions not slabbed because they were too brittle. Now I'm a little concerned what will and what won't, because usually I love beaters, but I also want them slabbed. So I'm a little hesitant on buying some of the beaters because I'm afraid that SGC won't slab them. And I do want them in slabs eventually. So I will say, if you're buying cards like this at shows or on eBay, be very careful with who the seller is. Make sure they're reputable, and they're reputable vintage dealers. If you're on eBay and their eBay store is 90% modern, they've got a few raw tobacco cards, I'd be wary. They could be a legit seller, but I'd still be, I want to buy from a legit vintage dealer. Baseball Card Illustrated, what's up, my man? Glad to catch you live this morning. Looking forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. You betcha. Check out Bronco's channel, Baseball Card Illustrated. Oh, we need to give you a wrench too. So if you want to put that link to your channel on there, and he's also going to be a dealer at the next Madison Card Show on November 19th. Pepino Man in the house. I love baseball. I listen to it on the radio. Nothing beats baseball on the radio. So some more vintage. I guess how much I paid for this card. 1951 Bowman, Phil Cavarretta. It's got some paper loss on the back. It also has the price on the back. So I just want you to guess how much I paid for this. 1951 Bowman, Phil Cavarretta. Beautiful card. Phil Cavarretta, Chicago Cubs, one of the top players. Stacks and packs as a quarter. I wish. Okay. I did pay more than $2, and I paid more than a quarter. But I paid $3. Paid $3 for this. Sticker price was $4, and I got a discount on top of that because I bought a few cards from this dealer. $3 for this 51 Bowman Phil Cavarretta. I thought $4 was a steal. Where are we at here? So showing some more. That's a modern card. I'll do a separate modern day. This is kind of vintage. It's modern, but vintage. I love this card. It's not the original 62 Topps rookie, which I don't think it's in this box, but it's from is this Archives Fan Favorites? It's Topps Legends autograph. Lou Brock, Cubs autograph. Love this card. Love this card. Let's see. Oh, here's another raw T205. So I think this will go into my next SGC submission. I did not get I think I paid like $50 for this. I think I paid around $50 for the Lou Brock auto. And I did buy that on eBay. And I bought that a few years ago. Ed Rulebach T205 gold border. So this will likely go in my next submission to SGC. Oh, we've got an ugly PS. Oh, these are modern. So I'll do a separate modern. What's up, Sexbots? That's a modern. I don't even know what this is. Bill Killefer, some type of portrait. I'll have to look this up and get this baby slabbed. Probably won't do this on the next submission, but I've got that other Killefer that needs to be slabbed. So maybe I'll send the two Killefers together. Let's see. We've got some more modern. More modern. Here's a 63 Ernie Banks. I love this set. I love 63 Topps. Beautiful set. Oh, we've got to show off the 52s. Joe Hatton, 52 Topps. Bruce Edwards. Paul Minner. Paul Minner was a great through the mail signer. Paul Minner was fantastic signing autographs through the mail, and so was his teammate Bob Addis. Look at that. Not even a pinhole. That's just a freaking bullet hole in the middle there. What else do we have? We're showing off some vintage from the Cubs collection. There's another. Ooh, he's not even in a sleeve. What's up with that? Don't know how that happened. Part of my Cole Roeder collection. 1 of 1. Oh, here he is. Here's the original. Got him in a one touch. This card, the 62 Topps Lou Brock rookie, just terrible centering. It's really hard to find a decently centered Lou Brock rookie card. Let's see. Here's another Ernie, 64 Topps. I'd set the Ernies aside because I wanted to do a run of Ernie Banks Topps in SGC. Here's a Zach Taylor Gowdy. This is actually in pretty nice. The corners are a little beat up, but Zach Taylor Gowdy. I think I paid 20 on this. I'm not sure where I bought this one. A live look at 0.00002%. So yeah, so I do, when I say I have 800 some thousand Cubs cards, and many people are probably thinking it's just all 87 Topps. I do have some. Oh, it's a nice. Save that for the modern. So this box has a little mix. Oh, here's this is the first set that Topps made. I need to get this slabbed because this is also part of my Joe Tinker collection. Joe Tinker and Johnny Evers. This is from 1948. The Topps Magic Stamps. Topps Magic Stamps from 1948. This was the first set that Topps made, and it was baseball. It was, I actually pulled an actress. I can't think of her name, but I pulled it out of like a $2 box at the last card show I was at. Here is, I'm not sure what set this is from, but I need to get it slabbed. American Caramel. Oscar Ray Grimes. If you're wondering, these cases that these are in are from the Michaels 20, because I had this in my 20 card display case that you can buy at Michaels Crafts. What's up, Victor? Just showing off some vintage. Love diagonal cards and slabs. Here is a Bill Nicholson. I'm not sure what this is. Looks like I paid $10 for it. Bill Nicholson. This is blank back. Let's see. That's modern. Oh, here's another. So from the same set. This is Hack Miller. We'll free him from his cage. Hack Miller. Get him sleeved and in a card saver. What else? Looks like this is a slab. I'm not sure where I bought this next one. It's in a Beckett slab, and I try to. I hate Beckett slabs. I try to avoid them at all costs, unless it's a card that I really, 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 really want, which is not often the case. Oh, there we go. That goes back in the case. This may have come from I think this came in a trade. I love the set, 53 Bowman color. Don't like the slab, but Tommy Brown, it's a Beckett 4, 53 Bowman color. Great set. Love that set. Let's see. Here is another T205. Orville overall. Might have bought this at the National. T205 SGC. I got a 1.5. Look beautiful in those tuxedos. Okay, let's see. There's another modern. How about this? Here's one. It's more modern, but it's a vintage player. Ernie Banks auto from Nabisco. These came out in the early 90s. It's got the certificate of authenticity in the back. I paid $5 for this. at the card show in Rockford about a year ago. Somebody came up to me and they're like, "Hey, you're the Cubs collector. I've got this. Do you want it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, how much do you want for it?" He's like, "Oh, you're a Cubs fan. You can have it for free." And I'm like, I cannot accept an Ernie Banks autograph for free. He's like, "No," and he insisted. And I'm like, Can I give you $5?" And he's like, I guess. So that was a sweet deal. Here's a play ball, Charlie Grimm. I think I bought that at the National in 2019. Ernie on turf is interesting. So that photo was from this is not a playing days picture. I think this is from like an old timers game. I don't think Cubs had old timers games, but I think it's from I bet this is from maybe Randy Hundley's fantasy camp, but that's definitely a non-playing days image of Ernie. Let's see. Here is a 1919 strip card. Ollie Zeiter or Zeiter. Ollie Zeiter, SGC. That's a 3. That came back a 3. That's really nice for a strip card. I'm going to include this. I got to show this off. And it's unfortunate Cooter's not with me. Cooter's not here in the chat. This is, I always wanted this card. And this was one of the first, when I started the 1 Million Cubs project. This, by the way, this is not a Cubs card, but I wanted to add this to the collection as part of the Sandberg collection, a minor league card, the Oklahoma City 89ers in a PSA 7. These are beautiful cards, and you can get these on the cheap. I think I paid like $50 for this. The Reading Phillies card that's going to cost you a bit. Like last time I priced a Reading Phillies card out, it was like $500. Here's another SGC. Now we're getting into some of my favorites. Do I have? I don't think I have another one, but this was the second card from the 1800s I bought. This is a gold coin, a Buckner gold coin. Beautiful card. And this is a 2 from 1887. Oh, I love these. Absolutely love these 1800s cards. 1887 Buckner gold coin. Marty Sullivan. Here's the back in an SGC2. Absolutely beautiful. Let's see. John says, hopefully these will hang on the wall at your new house. So what I want to do in the new house is I'll have a store. I'll have like a back stock room where like basically all of this will be, but then I'll have a card room, which will have my shelves of inventory for my eBay. That'll be like the shipping room. And then neighboring that wall will be my office. So my office will be where I'll do my morning videos. And so on the back wall, my office will have a window into the backyard. And then behind me, I'll have a wall, which I want to put a TV on the back wall. And then I want to put shelves on each side and then have the cards on that. And that's the one problem. A lot of these I took down, I had displayed in my rec room. But my rec room gets a lot of light. So I ended up taking a lot of things out because there's a lot of light in that room. So that is the one thing that I am concerned. It just depends. I don't know at this point because we're completely, renovating the entire house. So there's going to be a deck. So the windows, there will be 2 windows in that room that overlook the backyard, but there's going to be a deck overhead. So it may, there may not be much sunlight coming into that particular room. So we'll see. It's kind of one of those where it's a wait and see once everything's finished. If I can do that. Let's see. Where are we at? Ernie was a little older by then. On that day, he said, "Let's play one." Oh yeah, that's funny. I think cards are way more impressive than signed balls to look at. By the way, that Sandberg is the one that Diego needs. If you find one, let me know. I'll buy it for him. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I bought that one on eBay. There may be some on eBay. Let's see. Red Light 34 says, I have some older Iowa Cubs cards. I love minor league cards. Vintage cards are the best artwork you can find. Absolutely 100% agree. The other option is UV protected display cases. That's definitely because like I love cards, and you're right. Like you need to you need to see these. What I like about it's much better eye appeal because it, like somebody mentioned, Matt mentioned, it's art. It is. So from an eye appeal standpoint, the cards look way better, like John said, than signed baseballs. What I like about my display, my ball, is that those have stories. Like those are more meaningful to me. My signed baseball collection is more meaningful because those have stories attached, meeting the players, like that personal experience. Where cards, it's like I bought this on, like, yeah, it's a beautiful card, but I bought it on eBay, or I bought this at the National, and it's like a transaction I don't remember. The cards for me are transactional, where the artwork, yes, is awesome, but there's not really a personal touch to like 98% of the cards, unless it's a gift or a meaningful trade. If it's just I bought it on eBay, because most people, when they come down and they see the ball, like, oh, that's an awesome card. Where did you get? What's the story behind that? I bought it on eBay. Like, oh, that story sucks. But I can share a story of, a drunken hotel story from players coming late from a night out and signing baseballs, or meeting a player at spring training or whatever. Brian says, good morning. Just make sure you get a mesh network in the new house. Hey, the mesh network's installed. It'll be coming with me. I'm fortunate that my basement gets zero light. I have 4 cases and probably will get another 4 real soon. That's awesome. I don't share my drunken hotel stories with company. Here's another. I can't. These are from 1943. These are really ugly cards, but for some reason I like them. Like the Jimmy Fox, and here's the Lou Novikov. What was his name? The Mad Russian, I think. Lou Novikov. Here's another Charlie Grimm. Is this a Gaudi 34? I think. The Lou Gehrig says, love those. That's a modern. Here's some. What the hell are these called? These are like super. You can find these in like dollar boxes. Peanuts Lowry here. Eddie Waitkiss, which he was shot in a hotel room. Played for the Phillies. Here we've got Hank Sauer. Exhibits. Thank you, John. Exhibits. And here's another Bill Killefer. The 1943 MPs, everyone says are ugly, but everyone wants them, right? Here's another 53 Bowman color. This is a PSA 3 miscut. My guy, Phil Cavaretta, who also was a great through the mail signer. I have a signed 4x6 black and white photo. Getting towards the bottom of the box. I'm only sharing vintage. I'll do a modern on another video. Let's see. Here's a Wheaties stamp. 1964 Wheaties stamp, Larry Jackson. I have a couple Wheaties. They're not like they're like almost like sides of boxes, those Wheaties cards. Johnson. Here's a 51 Topps Redback. Wayne Terwilliger, Twig, who he lived well into his 90s. And he was in baseball for a long, long time. Also a great through the mail signer, Twig Terwilliger. I think he passed away at like the age of 98. It was fairly recently. Oh, John's talking about his nipples, and who do we got? We've got the sex spots. Here's another T205. I have more T205 gold borders than I thought. Jimmy Sheckard, T205 gold border. Let's see. Getting down to the bottom. There is a story attached to this. 1956 Topps, Ernie Banks. Bought this for $20, and it's in nice shape. There's handwriting in pencil right there. I think Matt wrote his name on the card, or Mitt. Mitt Romney wrote his name on here. I was at the local card shop in Madison, and it's a real messy shop, and he doesn't have much in there. Especially there's like no vintage. And so I'm like, do you ever get vintage? And he's like, yeah, actually this morning somebody brought in and it was one of those cigar boxes of like 50s cards. And he's like, I haven't even really gone through them yet. And so I pulled this out and I'm like, how much for the Ernie Banks? He's like, $20. I'm like, hell yeah, $20 for a 56 Ernie Banks. I'll take it all day. Bronco says your nipple comment brought out the bots. Cards are amazing, a well that never runs dry. This is why I don't care if Fanatics and Panini disappear. Exactly. If Fanatics ruins baseball cards, we still have stuff like this. Just absolute beauties. Let's see. I need to get these in sleeves. And all right, I'm down to, and I do have more. I just don't know where the other box is because I've got another 1887. The other 87 I have is an old Judge. I still need an original Allen and Ginter. Here's another a couple more exhibits. Gene Baker, who grew up in the Quad Cities. Here's Andy Pafko. I think I had to pay a few bucks for that one. He was a little more than the rest of the guys. This is from Tip Top Bread. I love this card. John will like this. I'm sure you know about Tip Top Bread. I like the back of this card better than the front. So this is Johnny Schmitz, Tip Top Bread. I think this was from, Schmitz played in the 50s, so probably mid 50s. Johnny Schmitz, Tip Top Bread. So the front is cool, but look at the back. Look at that ad for the bread. Very cool. Love the advertisement for Tip Top Bread on the back of this. This was just a random eBay. Sometimes I go down wormholes on eBay and I get caught up with the modern, especially right now I'm caught up on Ethan Roberts Topps cards. He's a rookie in update. But sometimes I dive down this rabbit hole and I find these cards that I didn't know exist and have to pull the trigger like Johnny Schmitz and Tip Top Bread. So there's more modern. On a card, here's some more exhibits. Charlie Holliker. So I'm a little curious what is on the back of these. There's writing. I think somebody like, of course we know what came to be on the backs of cards were stats and stat lines. So of course these exhibit cards were blank backs. This was in really rough shape. This is this is Charlie Grimm. This is one of the early exhibit cards from 1927. But this one, somebody wrote their own back. How cool. Like that's what I love about vintage in pre-war is like, even though it's been ruined per se, it's like somebody, because this was in somebody's collection and they're like, I'm going to add my own little twist to this card. Self-statting cards. So somebody wrote the stats down on that exhibit card. And that's the box. So that's the box. I have more. 11 are at SGC right now. And then I think I have another box with because I know I have an old Judge that's around here somewhere, and some others. So hope you enjoyed it. It's fun for me because I don't always get my cards out and look at them. I'm always like I get them in and I put them away. Like, and that's not what cards are meant. Like when people put cards in away in like safes, safety deposit boxes, it's like, but then you can never look at them. But then I fall in that same, like I put them in a box on a shelf. I never get them out and look at them. So it's nice to get them out and look every once in a while. Figure out which ones I'm going to send off to SGC, get in those fancy tuxedos. So I've got piles of cards that, how am I going to get around to my mouse? So let's see. Where are we at in the chat? Let's see. Matt says, one thing that disappoints me as a Royals fan is the cards only go back to 69, unlike the Cubs. And that's, I know, like what I love the most about my Cubs collection and collecting Cubs is that, and I love history. So the history of the Cubs goes back to the 1870s. And so there's a lot of, unique stuff that goes back to the early 20th century, even into the 19th century. And there's a lot of stuff to collect. Matt says, so I went with Kansas-born players to get older cards, still looking for my first Walter Johnson. Very cool. John says, Bo talks about the business all the time. Good to see you excited about your collection. Thank you. Joe Tinker falls into that group. My oldest card is one of his T206 cards. Very nice. Let's see. Where are we at? That's like finding an old scorebook that someone has scored an actual game. And I don't buy magazines or newspapers or periodicals. It's just not part of my it's part of my collection. I have a lot of that stuff. And if there's a good price on something, I'll buy it. But, some guys that know I'm a Cubs collector and they're like, hey, I've got this scorebook from 1943 and it's not even scored. And I'm like, no thanks, because you're going to charge a premium because it's in better condition. I want something that's scored. Now, I don't want somebody that just doodled. I want somebody that actually kept a fairly accurate. It doesn't have to be completely accurate. How am I to know unless I go and look it up on Baseball Reference? But like, I would prefer programs and scorebooks to be scored, as opposed to just being in, it's in mint condition. I don't care. I'd rather it not be. I'd rather somebody was sitting in the bleachers scoring a game in 1943 than keeping it in pristine condition for all these decades. Let's see. John says, I have a safety deposit box, but it's for when I do long stints on the road. And that makes sense. And like, if I had a card that was worth like 30 grand, 50 grand, if I had a Mickey Mantle, 52 tops, I'd probably put that somewhere safe. I wouldn't leave it on a shelf, all the time. Although I like never leave the house unless I'm going to Target or Walmart or Costco. I went to a new Costco yesterday. Okay, here we go. Off on a tangent. I went to Costco. So we have a Costco in Middleton, which is like, that's always been our nearest Costco. And it's just a freaking zoo. The parking lot situation is a nightmare. It's always so freaking busy. It's a nightmare. Like, I dread going to Costco. So they built one in Verona, which is actually my street address is Verona, although Middleton's closer to where I live. So Verona, there's a new Costco. It just opened a couple months ago in Verona, which is, it's only like 5 minutes further than the Middleton Costco to where I live. But it's like, there's nothing, like Verona is like a small town. It doesn't really have anything outside of a couple microbreweries, and that's about it. There's no need to go to Verona, the actual town. So the Middleton Costco hasn't had envelopes, and we know my envelope situation. Okay. So I'm like, I'm going to go on a retail run and I'm going to look for envelopes at Costco. I'm going to go to the new one and check it out. I haven't been there. I'm just going to go. We needed toilet paper. We needed bottles of water. So it wasn't like a waste. It wasn't like I was driving out of the way just to look for envelopes. I was going for stuff we needed to get at Costco anyway. I'll just drive an extra 5 minutes. The parking lot situation is like, I drove in, I found a spot. You don't have to, like at the Middleton Costco, you have to drive in front of the front doors. And we all know how busy, and when it's busy, it's like you have to stop and wait, and people are like, stop right in the middle of the road, and they're looking around, where did I park? Not realizing they're right in the middle of traffic trying to park. It's just a nightmare. So that is not the case in Verona at the Costco. And it wasn't as busy. And that was like the main, like it wasn't as busy. So anyway, that when you turn 40 is what you look forward to. Getting excited that the Costco is not busy, and getting excited for the new retail stores that are opening in your neighborhoods. Let's see. John says, otherwise, sun's out, guns out with the cards. There are Kansas City A's cards. I collect Philly A's stuff, and they're long gone. Matt says, I started the A's and also looking for Blues. KC, not St. Louis. Steve is with us. What's up, Steve? Anyone else having tracking issues with eBay PWE? About 75% of my orders the last 3 weeks are marked as not scanned in my shipper in stated time, but USPS picked them up within the 1-day handling time. Most have no scanning at all or almost none. I don't look at my tracking as a seller, but I have had maybe a slight uptick in buyers that are complaining about the tracking, but nothing. I mean, there's in it's November. Expect these issues to last for another 8 weeks because it's only going to get worse over the next few weeks because there's going to be an abundance of mail over the holidays. So if you're having troubles now, just you're not going to have less troubles until January. It's going to be even worse. Matt says it's very hit and miss with scanning. John says I've never been able to track PWEs. Steve says it's going to drop my account from top rated to above standard. Like I'm not into top, like I don't care about top rated status. But I would reach out to eBay and I know you're not the only one that I've heard have issues here in the last couple of weeks. But I would say, yeah, tape a card to a political flyer, right? But I would say reach out to somebody at eBay and talk to them about that because I think I did see somebody tweet and they said eBay's aware of the problems, so they're looking into it. So that's about all the advice I can offer. And unfortunately, mail's not going to get any better in the next 2 months. It's only going to get worse because of the holidays. So that's what I had for today. Maybe tomorrow I'll show off some modern stuff. We'll see. Wish me luck today. Hopefully I sell a truckload of bulk commons to the potential buyer that I'm meeting this afternoon. I think I am. Somebody in one of the local Facebook groups said that the Walmart that I actually went to a few days ago has Topps Archives. So I may make a run over there and because I would like to rip some archives. So I may make that trip. John says the sweatshirt. What am I looking at? So this is a wrestling sweatshirt from the like the Hulkamania era, 89, 90, somewhere in that range. So the story behind this hoodie looks like hash browns. So the I saw a Facebook and I felt bad in the whole situation. So on it is a glorious shirt. I was going to ask too. So it's got Hulk Hogan, Dusty Rhodes. I think the Brooklyn Brawler is even on here. Bad News Brown, Demolition, Bushwhackers, Greg Valentine. I think that's the Blue Blazer, Owen Hart. So maybe 88, 89. So there was a Facebook ad, those sponsored ads that are always shilling like stolen artwork shirts, which I didn't know at the time. So it was this image, like you could buy the shirt. So basically I just screenshot the ad and I posted it to Twitter. Well, the original artist, like it got so much action on Twitter and I felt bad. The original artist was like, that's stolen artwork. That's my artwork. And so I'm like, well, I feel bad now for shilling this Facebook scam. So I retweeted his website link. He's got like an Etsy store or something. So I bought this from him. It's a very comfortable hoodie. No, I don't wear it out in public. This is just like a Sunday morning lounge hoodie. It's not that I would be opposed to it, but it's kind of like, I'm not going to wear that out in public. Not that there's anything wrong with that. So yeah, so that's where I got this. If you ask me what the guy's name is or what his website is, I can't remember. It was like 2 years ago. I think it was either during the pandemic or the year before the pandemic. So it's been 2 or 3 years. But it's an awesome hoodie. It's very comfortable and it was pretty cheap. I think it was only like $40, which is a good price for a hoodie. So that's where I got it. I could probably Google it because if I saw the website or the name, I would probably recognize it. Wrestling hoodie artwork. and it's probably, now that I want to find it, it's probably not going to come up. Let's see, images. And he may not even have the story. He may not even be active. If you type in wrestling artwork hoodie, there's really there's a lot of crap that comes. Like, this sucks. This all sucks. Yeah, it's not. I'm not finding it. Wrestling hoodie. This is probably just going to bring up like WrestlingTees.com or something. Maybe Hulk Hogan, WWF hoodie. Bring that up. Okay, now we're getting closer. As I'm on like Google, oh, it's a bunch of polar bears. The World Wildlife Federation. Yeah. So if you're looking to get one, I don't know. I'm sure if you Google enough, you'll find it. Just Google 80s WWF. 80s. Maybe this will. Oh, there's a 1992, and this is a legit, wow, sweatshirt. Tatanka. That's pretty cool. This is pretty close. WrestleMania Legends from Amazon. Getting a little closer, but still not finding the exact artwork. I wonder if WWF like came after him. I don't know. Probably one of those slippery slopes. WWF is really they're aggressive though at using their likenesses. Okay. So where are we at? More sex bots. Does your wife have a list of shirts you're not allowed to wear when you guys are out and about? It's not a list, but it's like, can I wear this? No. I've typed in a lot of stuff in Google I'm not proud of. I'm not typing that in. Just got the Brian Shaw from U2 put all together to save you on shipping. Awesome. I appreciate that. Titan Sports has a very long arm. Yes, they do. So we're at 90 minutes. Thanks for tuning in. We'll have to do this again, show off some more vintage. I'll have to find my other box of vintage. That's the downside to being very disorganized. Let's see the vintage. Let's see the pre-war. I don't know which box they're in. So we'll do it again. So have a great Sunday. Go Bears. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central, Hobby Evolution. Like if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk tomorrow.